You know, this one's pretty simple to me. A bad baseball team lost 3 times to a good baseball team. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, June 1st, 2026. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off of your first purchase. Happy June, everybody. The Tigers send you into the month of summer. Is June the first month of summer? I don't know. I'm dead inside. This team is terrible. The Tigers are swept this weekend by the Chicago White Sox. They lose 4-3 in the 10th inning on a walk-off homer on Friday. They lose 7-1 on Saturday, and then 2-1 on Sunday. The Tigers are now 22-38 as the White Sox improve to 32-27. That's the White Sox. They're 5 games over 500. They were 29-27 going into this series. You look at that on paper, and you're like, oh, like that's, a solid team. The White Sox are having a fun year. They're hanging around. They've been so bad for so many years now. It's like cool. And then now it's like, well, I mean, they're 5 over and comfortably in the wild card spot. They're even hunting down Cleveland for first place in the AL Central. My first thought is that after this weekend, the Detroit Tigers are tied for the worst record in Major League Baseball. I'm recording this before the conclusion of the Rockies game that they played on Sunday, but depending on what happens there, the Tigers might have sole possession of the worst record in Major League Baseball. Not the AL, not the AL Central, the entire sport. So, as I said in the cold open, to me, this is very blunt and point blank. This was a good baseball team against a bad baseball team. And the whole series, all 3 games, looked like a good team versus a bad team. The White Sox were straight up just better than the Detroit Tigers in pretty much every aspect of baseball for 28 innings, right? We had the extra inning on Friday. These weren't, despite the final scores, these weren't hard-fought losses. 2 of these 3 games were 1-run losses, and yet I did not leave either of them going, wow, you know what? We just got the short end of the stick. It's a tough loss, but you move on. They played good ball. No, it was incompetence. They should have won at least 2 of 3. They should have scored 5+ on Sunday alone. It never should have gone into extra innings on Friday. They were the worst team. They scored 5 runs the entire weekend. 5 total runs this series. It's hard to win a 3-game set when you're not even scoring 2 runs a game. In fact, they didn't score 2 runs in 2 of these 3 games. So what went wrong? We will obviously here start with the offense. 5 total runs. They did not have a hit with a runner in scoring position the entire weekend. That is a real stat. They went 0 for 12 with RISP this series. Riley Green had a few hits. Torkelson, I thought, actually had a pretty good weekend. Winsel Perez homered. Dylan Dingler had a couple of knocks. It doesn't matter. They can't score anyone. They're incapable. It literally, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. That's the caveat I have to put on. They had 7 hits on Saturday. They had 8 base runners, 9 base runners. It doesn't matter. The entire team is incapable of hitting in high leverage situations. They didn't even come close to scoring on Saturday, despite having 8 base runners, and one of them was a home run. Obviously, outside of the home run I'm referencing, They were not even close. They went 0 for 6 with RISP. On Sunday, their leadoff hitter got on base in an inning 3 times in a 4-inning stretch, and that was after they had scored a run. They were up 1-0, and those stats don't even include the inning they scored or prior. 3 of the next 4 innings after they scored, they had the leadoff runner on base. They ended with 1 total run and did not score any of those leadoff runners that I just mentioned. And it's not rocket science. This isn't like, oh, well, does their approach suck? Or is it, like whose fault is it? Who do we point? Jahmai Jones has almost -1 WAR and doesn't even play defense, dude. Do you know how, and is a platoon hitter. Do you know how miraculously unproductive you have to be to not play defense and not play righties and still have a WAR of almost -1? He is providing nothing at the plate. And obviously not anywhere else. Zach McKinstry cannot hit this year. Zach Short cannot hit this year. Hao-Yu Lee has not hit this year. Jake Rogers has not hit. Colt Keith 0 for this weekend. His OPS is now under 670. Winslow Perez, after homering twice in the last 5 games, has a 532 OPS. That's with the addition of 2 home runs. And this is the real miraculous thing here. That 532 OPS, that is a terrible number. That is awful, okay? That is really, really poor. That's the highest OPS of any name I just mentioned except for Colt Keith. The highest. And you look at the lineup card every day, almost all of these guys are playing every single day because they have to, because we don't have anyone else. So that's why they can't hit anybody home ever, because they can't hit, period. I kind of went through this last week. This team is at a point right now where it is one of 2 things happen. You know that meme on Twitter when it was the Cincinnati Bengals? This is a crazy poll. It was the Cincinnati Bengals, and it was the draft where they took Jamar Chase, I think. That or T. Higgins. I think it was Jamar Chase, though, because he was a first-round pick. And everyone was doing that, like the stick figure picture where it was like the Bengals can either draft an offensive lineman for Joe Burrow and then he has no one to throw to, or they can draft Jamar Chase and then he doesn't have enough time to throw the ball to Jamar Chase. That is what this feels like to me. I know this is like crazy. Well, how does your brain work that way? I don't know either. It's dumb. It's really stupid. But it's either McGonigal, Dingler, or Green get on base, and then no one behind them is capable of hitting them home, or I guess the alternative is, again, we this is just like regurgitated from last week. I guess we can move on. I'm spending way too much time on it. Or they get hits, but the people behind them can't get on base. And even in high leverage, I mean, Green hasn't been good with RISP in the last 3 weeks. It's a disaster. Everything is a disaster at the moment. That's only the offense. That's like tip of the iceberg of everything that went wrong this weekend. We'll talk about some of the pitching woes from this series as well right after this. First, though, got to talk to you about our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like watching a baseball game live. Even better when you're there in person, the excitement, the fans. The only problem is getting tickets can feel like a grind. There's long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where the Game Time guarantee comes in. Game Time, the app, gives fans the advantage with constant innovation and without the hassle and stress. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's simple to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you'll get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. So what you see is actually the price you pay, period. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We'll be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 against the Rays and, of course, talking about anything else surrounding the Tigers organization, as we always do. If you want to take your listenership to the next level, you can check out the Everydayer Club at LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer. You'll get ad-free episodes of this show as you join, and you will get access to a members-only group chat with other everydayers and myself in it. You also can get a 7-day free trial if you join now, so be sure to check that out today. Okay, well, the Detroit Tigers still got swept. That has not changed during our ad break there. Framber Valdez pitched this weekend. I was very uninspired by his performance, and this has really been a reoccurring theme here for a while outside of a select few performances. Like, he goes 6 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, the home run against. His ERA is 4.39, and it's just like, it's not terrible. He's not unplayable, especially if you take out, which you can't do. That's a very slippery slope, I understand, but you remove the 7 and 8 earned run outings from like late April, early May. I mean, you're talking about a sub-4 ERA is what he's, the quality or caliber, I guess I should say, pitcher that he's been for most of the season. It's just, even that, like, that's still not what this team needs at the present moment. They need an ace because theirs is hurt. And like, this weekend isn't on him, not even close, right? He's so far down on the pecking order of things that went wrong and like why the Tigers got swept. I understand that, but he's getting paid so much money, and expectations were for him to come in and really for the Tigers to have 2 aces at the top of their rotation, and for there to be a little bit of a buffer if and when Skubal leaves, that, hey, we have Framber in the future though. And we still have an ace caliber, top of the rotation caliber guy that we can throw out there. His ERA is almost 4.5. He just eats innings and gets ground balls, and he gives up 2-3 runs every time out there. He's not losing you games. He's just not worth the $40 million a year or whatever it is that he's getting paid for. And that's just that's just kind of the story of the Tigers season. It's just very frustrating to me. Drew Anderson, 2 home runs this weekend. I don't even know anymore, man. One was obviously the walk-off. The second that any reliever on this team is put in a high-leverage situation, they just absolutely crumble. Like, he has easily, it's not even close, he has easily been this team's best reliever all month. So naturally, to end May, he blows 2 games in a 3-game set. Nothing can go right for this baseball team. Nothing. And as far as the pitches themselves, like, they were hanging changeups. There's not really too much else to say. He hasn't been throwing those pitches all month. He's been a lot better. He throws 2 absolute hangers this weekend. They get hit 400 plus feet. That's what happens when you throw major league hitters hanging changeups. Vargas, also very notably not in his 30s, as many of you pointed out that I said this on Friday's episode. Very much my fault. Definitely did not intend for that. In my show notes, I went back and looked and just had a bunch of players' names and stats and ages, and clearly I read somebody else's when talking about him. But a really good young player, and not only that, what is he, 26? Not only that, he's raking. Like, he's having a fantastic year. He honestly, like, his expected numbers should even be better than like his actual numbers, and his actual numbers are already pretty darn good. So, yeah, like, it is what it is. There's not too much to analyze about Drew Anderson and like what went wrong or whatever. He threw 2 terrible pitches, and they both, the White Sox took advantage of both of them. Pretty cut and dry. Bullpen wise, I mean, we already talked about Drew Anderson, I guess. Like Bo Brisky returns this weekend, got some strikeouts, which was good to see him get some swing and miss, but also allowed 2 home runs. The only difference is his was in 1 outing. So that's a really rough kind of welcome back gift, if you will. So there you go. The entire offense, anytime somebody got in scoring position, one of the 3 starters and the team's best reliever for the last month. All what went wrong. Hard to win a series. That's like 20 of 26 players on your roster we just covered. Probably why you got swept. What went right? Cater Montero, 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. He has a 3.69 ERA now this year, which makes my OCD feel very good looking at. This was a fantastic outing, though, and he was only at 65 pitches, and that has to be talked about, right? The decision to pull him from this game. I don't know. I don't know. 65 pitches, okay? There's and it's so much more than that, right? If it was just 65 pitches and there was like matchups that were coming ahead in the lineup that you didn't like or whatnot, then so be it, man, right? Like, we know he's going to play matchups. We know AJ is very oriented in that way. He was at 65 pitches through 6 innings. He had only allowed 2 base runners the entire outing, 4 strikeouts, which was on pace for one of his higher strikeout total of the season because he barely has gotten any. No walks, et cetera, et cetera. Today, as you listen to this, is a bullpen day. Mize is